Hello everybody, my name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from kiloloco.com, and today we have a real interesting thing that we're going to be going over. We're going to be going over WebKit, but more specifically, scraping HTML data. And to be even more specific than that, we're actually going to be scraping data from a site that requires authentication, which means that you have to log in before you can get access to content. The tools that we're going to be using today are Xcode 8.2.1, Swift 3, and SwiftSoup. 1 second, I just want to go over why I'm still using these tools. At this point, WWDC has launched. iOS 11 beta is out, Xcode 9 beta is out, and Swift 4, I think maybe beta or whatever, Swift 4 is out as well. I'm not going to be moving over to those until maybe July. So just be on the lookout. Most of the changes in Swift 4 aren't going to be huge code-breaking changes. So your Swift 3 code should work in Swift 4 if you're currently coding in Swift 4. So this should still be relevant, or the conversion should be pretty easy. We're going to be working with SwiftSoup, which is a HTML parser. And it just makes things easier for us to get a specific chunk of HTML. The skill level I've set to intermediate. Now, what I'm going to be going over is actually pretty easy, but, obviously you're going to need to know the Swift language basics and know how to create and use data models. But the part that's a little bit, what makes this video a little bit more intermediate is that you need to know how to read and kind of work with HTML, because, it's not easy to exactly do this for just any website. What we're going to scrape data for any website. Also, some understanding of JavaScript. You have to be able to, write your own JavaScript if you're going to be wanting to scrape data. So that's why I'm just saying that it's a little bit more intermediate. If you're watching this video, you probably know this stuff, so it should be a beginner lesson for you. But for anybody that only knows Swift code, this is going to be a little bit more intermediate. You're going to have to look into some of the web related stuff by yourself and kind of look into that. So yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Alberto Presti. I hope I said your name right. And Alberto, this was not an easy video to make. It was actually extremely difficult to find the information on how to do this, but like I said, to actually do it is not very hard. One last disclaimer before we actually get into it. The way that I'm going to implement this tutorial, or this project or app or tutorial, whatever you want to call it, the way that I'm going to go about this is I'm going to show you the tools that you need to scrape. But this isn't how you would exactly scrape the data. We're going to go through like a step-by-step process as opposed to having it be like an automated process. And there's a couple of reasons behind that, and I'll get to that when we get there. But I just want to let you know that this isn't exactly how you would implement it if you're trying to make a production level app based off of a website. But you should be, I should be providing you with all the tools that you need in order to do such a thing. Just obviously, optimize your stuff. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm pretty much saying. That's all I'm trying to say. You're going to have to optimize these things yourself. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's get into it. We're going to obviously start off with a new project. And you have to actually call it Hacking the Web because it sounds cool. I'm just joking. You don't have to call it that, but Hacking the Web. I mean, it sounds kind of cool to me. So yeah, we're going to put it in that KL Learning folder because that's where I learn you. I'm going to create it. There we go. And now we should have our project. Okay. All right. So let's go over to our main storyboard. Now, once again, like I said, this isn't going to be how you would implement it in production, but there's a few things that I want to go over. So the pieces that you will implement in production most likely are going to be like a login page, right? So we're just going to add 2 text fields, right? One for the email or username, and then one for the password. So let's go ahead and do that. It's not going to look pretty. That's okay. Most of my videos, the stuff never ends up looking pretty, but you guys get something out of it, right? It's ugly, but it works. Oh, does it work? Okay, I'm just dragging and pressing options so I can duplicate those. So we'll just put the placeholder in here for email, right? For here, it'll be password, right? And then you'd probably have like a sign in button, right? Something like that. Sign in. Okay. Let's make it a little bit bigger, you know, whatever. And yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need for our sign-in page. But we're also gonna want to have we're also gonna have another web view, or not a web view. We're gonna have another view controller. And all this is going to do is it's going to present our data. And we're actually going to be scraping data from Gmail. I figured like that would be like a good place to start off. So I hope that's good enough for you guys. I could have done a table view controller, but whatever, this is fine. Table view. Just go ahead and put that in there. And then this one will stretch. All right. So what we're going to do is just, you know, pin it, make it look decent, I guess. And that's all we need to do. And then lastly, I don't know why this happens. I'm sorry about this, guys. That random mouse stuck there, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop it right here. We're going to do show. That gives us a segue. And we'll just call this show emails, I guess. Show emails. And I think that's all we really need to do for the UI. So we're going to sign into Gmail, right? And then when we sign in, it's actually going to take us to a table view full of our emails, just kind of like how you would see it. So it'd be like the person that sent it to you, and then like the title of it. So yeah, that's all we're going to be doing. All right. So what you're going to want to do is import WebKit. And that's going to give us access to something called the WKWebView. And the WebView is you don't really need to be able to see it, but I'm going to show it to you guys anyways, and just show you what's happening behind the scenes of when you implement like a web view to do this like this hacking or this JavaScript injection or whatever you want to call it. So we'll do let WebView equal WKWebView. Right? Is my simulator running? That might. Oh yeah. We don't want to quit it. Okay, so we're gonna do WebView, right? So we have access to it. Also, let's get some of our outlets connected, right? Because we need all that stuff connected. So IB outlet week var, and then we have an email text field. Type UI text field, right? And then at IB outlet week var, and then we have a password text field. Also type UI text field, And then we also have an action. So we have a at IB action func on sign in tapped, and we're gonna do stuff with that. Okay, I spelled everything right. Xcode's tripping. I know what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're gonna move over to the main storyboard. We just want to connect these things. So let's go ahead and connect them. Got the email, got the password, and got the button action. Touch up inside. There we go. And this one will be our emails VC. So let's go ahead and do that while we're still working with UI stuff, right? New file, Cocoa Touch class. I'm gonna do a view controller. UI view controller. Nope. No. I don't know what you think you're doing. That's not what I wanted to do. All right. So we'll just call this emails view controller, VC. And then this is going to go in there, right? And we don't need this. We are going to need an extension of it. Wait, are we going to need an extension? Yeah, we're going to need an extension. So UI view controller. And no. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. No, I'm sorry, guys. Of UI text field delegate, right? Not text field delegate. Wow, Kyle, what is going on? Table view data source. My God. Number of sections and rows. Jeez. Return 1. Number of rows in section. We're gonna return 0 for right now, just so that there's no complaints. And then cell for row, we're gonna do let cell equal UI table view cell, and then we want to have this as with a specific subtitle style. So we'll do dot subtitle. Jesus. Okay, so now we want to be able to access the cell, the text label. Dot text is equal, and we're going to just leave this blank for right now, and we'll do the same thing for the details text label. Dot text, and then this will also be blank for right now, and we'll return cell. Okay, so we haven't really done anything yet. No, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong. I'm big and you're small. There's nothing you can do about it. Alright, so drag that delegate, that data source. And I think UI is all connected, and I think that's all we need to do for UI. So now we're going to move back to our view controller, which I would usually call sign in view controller. You know what, let's just do that. I feel like doing things right now. Even if I can't talk. What? No, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it because everything's already connected. Don't break anything, Kyle. Just leave it. Just leave it. Okay, it's fine. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. All right, so what we got to do first is we have to set up a request to be made, right? So in order to do that, we have to start off with a URL. We'll just do let URL equals URL, and we're going to initialize this from a string, right? And remember that when you initialize a URL, it's automatically optional when you do it from a string, so we have to do exclamation point. And then all we want to do is we want to do Gmail, so https://www.gmail.com, right? and then we want to turn this URL into a request. So we'll do let request equals URL request. And we'll initialize this with a URL, our URL, obviously. And then from here, since we have our web view right here already initialized, we'll do WebView dot. Actually, I want to show you guys what's going on in the background. So I'm going to actually give it a frame so that we can actually see it. So we'll do WebView.frame is equal to cgrect, or let's see. Yeah, cgrect. And I think I had it for like 300, looked like a good size. So I'll do 0. And then we want it to be a little bit lower, so we'll put it like 300, and then we'll do like 300 wide and 300 high. Right? So that's not required. You don't have to be able to see the web view for this to work, but I want to show you what's happening throughout this process. All right. With the web view, all we want to do is we just want to load that request. So WebView.load request, we'll pass in our request. And then we also want to add it to the sub view, right? So that we can actually see it. We want to add this as a sub view, so we'll do view.add sub view, and then we'll pass in our web view. This part also not required. You don't have to add it to the view as a sub view. We just want to be able to see it so that you understand what's happening in the background. It's not just like magic, Kyle's computer magic. We don't do that here. We explain things here. Well, I try to explain things here. You guys watch, and then you try to understand what it is that I'm trying to tell you. So it's a lot of trying going around here. Oh, my bad. Oh man, I almost forgot that you guys watch this on your phone sometimes. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger. Hopefully you can see that. Nothing too crazy yet. We're just making a little web view, right? Just making a little web view. Making a little web view. That's all we're doing. Didn't even realize I was over here being selfish with my small little text. It's running like Forrest. Okay, so now our view will pop up, and then once it loads, it'll actually pop up. It should pop up somewhere right here if I did it correctly. Yeah, see? Okay, so this is our little web view. Once again, not mandatory. And as you can see right here, if I could scroll, you can see this is our little login. Now, Gmail's a little bit different. You know, they make you put in an email, and then they make you submit a form, and then they make you put in a password, and then make you submit a form, and then you're actually presented with the content that you wanted to see. So we're gonna go through the Gmail process. Most emails that I'm familiar with don't make you go through this, but it's good. It's a good practice thing to kind of go through. So we're just gonna deal with their process. Now, what we have to do is since there's multiple steps, and I said that I'm not going to make this automated, I'm just going to show you the steps to do it. I hope you guys are able to understand the idea of a counter. I would hope so. You know, counter is equal to 0, and then whenever we go through a step, we'll just increase that counter by 1, so that whenever we tap on the sign in, we'll do +1. And then we'll go into a different step. So we'll do counter plus equals 1, right? Once again, this isn't how you would do it in production, but step by step. So what we have to actually do is we have to go over to Gmail, and we have to take a look at their HTML. All right, I'm back. I had to change my password because I wanted to make sure that you guys couldn't access my password and stuff like that. So that's all I had to do. Okay, so we're gonna move back over here, and we're gonna go to gmail.com. It takes you to this page. gmail.com, right? And this page comes up. What you're going to want to do, just in case, because things get a little bit weird, is if you're using Safari, what you want to do is go to user agent, and you want to select Safari iPhone, because you're most likely developing for an iPhone. And the reason that you want to do that is because web pages look different. Sometimes you'll see the mobile pages and the HTML will be different, so the fields that you got to access have to be different. So what you want to do is you want to inspect this element. You would normally inspect this element. It's not going to work exactly right here, but this is what I tried. So you would inspect the element as I did, and it'll give you back all this information. And we can see that the type is email, and this gives us some of the information that we're going to use. And it says that the ID is identifier ID. And I just wanted to show you guys this process, because this is kind of how you would normally go through, depending on whatever website that you're trying to scrape. This is how you would do it. You would need an access token in order to get in and do all this stuff. But now we know some of the information about the field that we want to access. All right, so now we're going to move back over here. And the first thing that we want to do is we actually want to we want to do a switch based off of our counter. So switch, and then we're going to do counter. Now case 0, which it starts off as 0. We'll just do break for right now. We'll do breaks. We're gonna have 5 different cases. No, we're gonna have 4 cases and a default. So let me show you guys that. So case, and then break, and then these will just be our placeholders, right, guys? Right. And girls, not to be sexist or anything. Case 3, break, case 4, break, and default. Break. Okay, so once again, this is the part that's mainly not how you would implement it. You wouldn't tap a button 5 times in order to sign in, but this is how I need to show you so that you can actually use this information. So with the WKWebView, the reason why we're not using UI WebView is because WKWebView is a newer API/framework that Apple implemented. It's faster. It's similar to Safari, and it has more functionality. One of the functionalities that WKWebView has is that it can evaluate JavaScript, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I should let you guys see that. Evaluate JavaScript right here. See, so now it's expecting some type of JavaScript string, and then it also gives you a completion handler if that was successful or not. So you're going to choose that first one, evaluate JavaScript, right? And then we're going to make it a string. We'll get back to that part right now. And then we'll do enter for the completion handlers. And we're going to have some value, right? I'll just put value right here, and then error. I'm going to change this value placeholder for right in a bit, once you see what the JavaScript is. But right now, value, just so that everything looks clean. So print whatever, right? So now we have code in there. So this is the part where things get a little bit more complex if you don't understand JavaScript. What you actually have to do for this piece right here is you have to do in string, which means that you better make sure that you spell it right, that everything's capitalized correctly, and all that good stuff. So you have to do your web development, right? So you do document, make sure everything is spelled right. You want to get element by ID, right? So get element by ID. Make sure I spelled that right. And I'm gonna forewarn you, this is not exactly correct. Like this I'm gonna have to go back and change some of this, but I want you guys to see the process. I think it's really important that you see the process. And then we have to do the single quotes to say what we think it's called. And it said, what did it say the ID is? It said ID is this identifier ID, right? So ID is equal to identifier ID. We're going to pass this in and we're going to see what happens. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't going to work. This is the piece that doesn't work when you try to get it from the website, but that's what you have to do. This is the process that you kind of have to go through to figure out how the website works. Value, you do dot value is equal to, and then you also want to do your single quotes, and then we're going to do interpolation. No. You want to do string interpolation. My sister's trying to call. This is a terrible time. And we want to pass in our email, right? So we'll do email text field dot text, and we'll make sure that that's unwrapped so that there's no optional in there. And then for the completion, I think is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we're gonna try to do that, and we're gonna pass in. We want to pass in our value. We want to print out our value, or we'll do print. Come on, print. Oh my goodness. This became a whole lot more complicated. Error. Out of my way. Okay, so we're going to try to do this, and we're going to see what happens. So either it's going to print the value, we'll just see what happens. I believe value is going to be nil, and I believe error is going to be coming back as something. I don't remember exactly how it went when I did this, but I just wanted to specify. I wanted to show you guys that this ID, even though it's in the HTML, that it's not correct. So wait for this to pop up so we can see it. So we do sign in, and nothing happened. Okay, right? We were expecting what we wanted it to do. See, look at. The value is nil, like I said, error, and then JavaScript exception occurred, blah blah blah. Nil is not, it's not an object or something like that. Like it couldn't find what you said that the ID was, right? So what we actually have to do is we have to do a different call in order to figure out how the app is seeing the HTML, and then we have to go in and we have to look for the ID that way. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to change this JavaScript. We're going to rewrite this JavaScript in this spot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just comment. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to comment this piece out for right now because we do need to have that line right there. But we just have to figure out what ID we actually need to get. So once again, we're going to do .document, right? And we're going to do get elements by tag name. Remember, all this stuff has to be spelled correctly. We're going to do single quotes, lowercase HTML. Then we're going to say the first object, which is 0 index, right? Dot inner HTML. So now we're going to say print. We're going to do the value. We want to print out the value, and we want to say inner HTML, just so that we know that it's the inner HTML. And we want to print out the error, just so that we know it's the error. So now let's go ahead and do that again. I would show you guys straight away, but if you guys try to use this in real life, it's not going to work as easily as I just say, oh, okay, you just do this, this, and that. Like, it doesn't work like that. And I just kind of want to show you guys the process. So we want to wait for it to pop up. Okay, so now I'm going to do sign in, and then see, that's a lot different. See, our error is nil. Now we have our HTML. Now you have to go back and you have to parse for all this stuff, right? Well, let's use what we know, and we'll do it based off of what we see in here. So we want to know the ID for this. Now we know that HTML controls the way that the website looks, right? So that means that the HTML has to have this string in it, email or phone. So what we can do is we can search for that, and it'll make it'll make it a whole lot easier. We don't want to do filter. We want to just do search. So do Command F right here. Make sure that this is the logs are popped up, and we're gonna just do email or phone, right? And it's saying right there, one result. This is where everything's happening. Now notice here where it says input ID is equal to email, right? We thought it was supposed to be identifier ID, but it's not. So this is why we have to look for email. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see, look at it says email, and then for Gmail, it has all the stuff in place already right there. So the ID for the password is password. It's pass WD dash hidden right now because it's hidden. When we submit the form, the email becomes email dash hidden. So we'll just copy this right here, both of those inputs, and we'll save those. So we have email and pass WD as the IDs that we want to search by. So now we're gonna lower this again, so that we can see our code again. And sorry for you guys that are watching on the phone. I know that you can't read something that small, but I hope what I said makes sense, and when you get the chance to do this on your computer, that you're able to go back and do that. So let's just put it in comments right here so that we can access them. And always remember that you want to do copy and paste when you can, just to make sure that you're not misspelling anything. So we'll just do email, and then I've gone through this. I mean, you could do the same thing once you get to the next form where it presents the password. You just got to go through that process again, and I don't think it's that important to show you the process again. You know, you kind of just have to play with it because every website's different anyway, so me showing you that wouldn't really benefit you. But I think me showing you trying to work just based off of what a website gives you on a computer versus what it gives you on the phone, you know, things can still differ. Even if you change the device to say, oh, I'm an iPhone, but it's really not. So now we're gonna get rid of this, right? Because we got the inner HTML, and you know what? I'll just comment this because we're gonna need to use this JavaScript again later, though. And I'll just put this line of text up here so that we have it for later. Okay, so on the first round, we're gonna do. Remember, we want to just pass in this email right here, right? Because that's the true ID. So we'll do email, and then we're gonna say email. All right. So now let's go ahead and run that, and if we do it properly, then we won't need the completion handler. It will just be nil. Because this is gonna run codes that says, okay, for that tag, for the element that has an ID of email, which is the email field, right? We want to we want to make the value whatever we have in our text field. So we're gonna, whatever we put in our text field, it should be that. Which part did I get wrong, or is Xcode tripping? Xcode's tripping. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that. So now I have, when I actually enter in email in my text field, for the email text field, and I press submit, whatever's in there will be in, it'll be in the field. We'll see, watch. It makes more sense when I show you. Everything that I do does, but okay, so my email, and remember, if you're ever trying to reach me, don't reach out to this email because I don't use it, at gmail.com. And when we do sign in, it should pop up right there because we're injecting JavaScript into the web view, which allows us to manipulate it. So I'm gonna press sign in, and look at that, Gmail, or RE Kyle Lee at gmail.com is populated in there, and I didn't have to touch that. I didn't have to touch any of this stuff. Okay, so now the next step is to actually submit this form. So it's like pressing a button, but since this is a form, it's not when you press next, it's not really pressing a button in web development. I don't really fully understand this, but it's submitting a form. So what you have to do is you have to inject JavaScript to say submit this form that I'm talking about in particular. So now what we have to do is we have to find out what form this is in. So now what we can do is we want to go back over here, and we want to find form. So you're gonna, in your search, you're gonna want to type the angle bracket and form to make sure that it's not in form or spelled anything else. And you want to just do search. Wait, did I do that right? Actually, I didn't do that right. Don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. Don't do what I just did. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to just do the command F right here. Yeah, this is the one that you want to look for. So form, like this. So now we'll get all the forms that match this type of thing. So this is one form, supposedly. I don't know what this is. I don't know why it's bringing up that, but this is another form. So when you have, let's see if it's even in here. You know what? I might have to do the thing that I just did. I can't remember how I got the form name exactly. Okay. You know what? Let's just do this. Let's run this again. Let's copy this so that we can see our HTML. And we're gonna close it like that, and we'll print the value. Okay, so now I have to go back. It's a process, guys. You have to, it's not fun or easy. It's a process, but being able to do this type of stuff is pretty cool. Because what you're going to want to do is you want to be able to submit a form, but you have to specify which form that you're going to be submitting. So I thought it was going to be able to show in the HTML from the website, but obviously it's not doing that. So I don't need anything to be put in here because I just want to be able to print, right? So that would set whatever value I had into there, and now when I press it again, we get our HTML back. And now we're going to do that same search, but in here. So now we want to do form, and we only have one, right? Okay, so what I did is I kind of just assumed that this was the form that we were talking about. the form that I needed, because I mean, if you look at the action, it says this, right? It says accounts.google.com/sign-in/v1/lookup, right? Sounds like it. Also, the ID is GAIA_login form. So that's probably the one that we're looking for, right? I had to take a guess. I had to try these things out. And it turns out that this is the actual ID of that form. So I kind of looked out. Once again, it just all depends on the website that you're working with. There's so many different ways to do websites that it can be hard and whatever. Like, you can't just do blanket statements. You can't assume they're all named with the same naming conventions. You can't assume none of that. So, yeah. So next what we're going to do is we're going to do WebView. And we have to inject JavaScript. So we'll do evaluate JavaScript again, right? And then remember that if we are injecting successfully, then we just do nil. We don't need to check back for anything else, right? So I'm going to just do nil. So we'll do document, and what you have to do is you have to get element singular by ID, and then we're gonna pass in single quotes our ID, which is this Gaia login form or whatever it is, right? And then, since it's a form, we can say dot submit with the open parentheses, close parentheses, and a semicolon. So if this works, then what it'll do is it'll submit the form, which means that we can proceed. So I'll be able to type in my email, I could type in my email, press sign in, that'll populate the email. I'll press submit again or sign in again, and then I'll submit the form, and then it should pop up the password field. So let's go ahead and try that. Yeah. So when you look at it, the code's going to be actually really small. And yours would be even smaller because you would automate this and you would do like the completion handler. Maybe you chain all these inside themselves. But yeah. So I'm gonna just start typing in my email while it loads. KyleLee@gmail.com, right? So we're gonna do sign in. That should populate the field, right? It did. We do sign in again. That should submit the form. See? Now it says password. We're in. So now all we have to do is we have to repeat this process. And since we already know the ID for the password, we'll just copy and paste the steps again. So we'll do copy, and we'll remove this break. We'll paste it in right here, and we'll use the correct ID, obviously. So you just paste this in. You want to make sure that you change this to password, right? So the password text field, and then we want to submit the form again. All right, so now I should be able to fill out my form in the app, and then when I go through these steps, we'll be able to watch it fill out everything every time we press the sign in. Something else should happen. Okay. Now, I decided to go step by step and make it so that you have to press sign in multiple times for it to work. And the reason I chose to do this was because if you automate the process too quickly, then you get CAPTCHAs, which are those pictures that they say, am I a robot? Well, first it's a check mark box, right? It says, am I a robot? And you have to click it, and then maybe it'll be able to tell I'm not a robot, or I am. If it thinks that you still might be a robot, then you get a CAPTCHA screen, and then you have to deal with CAPTCHA. So I'm not going to get into that because that's like getting really deep, and this thing gets really deep really quickly, and we don't want to do that. But just be aware that if you do things too fast, websites are coded nowadays to check for if you're a robot, because you're not supposed to be scraping websites like this. It's not like illegal or anything, but you know, I don't think people like it. So rekylely.com or whatever I said. The password is scrape me 123. So now what we'll do is we'll do sign in. That fills in our email. We'll do sign in again. That submits our form. Now we're at the password. So now we're going to do sign in again. It's going to populate our password. We're going to do sign in one more time, and that's going to actually submit the form for the final time. So now we're moving forward. All right. So I got to this screen, right? You're missing out. Now, this is another thing that you have to be wary of, is that this will happen sometimes. They'll have something like a little pop-up. Now, you could either check for this pop-up to see if that's what's coming up. What we're gonna do to get around this pop-up, because like if I run this again, if I run this entire thing again, well, first of all, it'll keep me logged in. The app will automatically stores the cookies. I mean, obviously you can change all that stuff, right? But it's gonna automatically log me in. So let me log out and go through the process again. So we're gonna go to, if I could remember, more, and we want to, man, it does not like interacting with there we go. Oh no, wait, was it this that I wanted? Oh, little thing right here. No, I gotta sign out. I don't know why the hell it doesn't let me sign out. Oh boy. Oh, probably that drop down, right? Yeah, sign out of all accounts, right? So now what we want to do is I want to go back, sign in with a different account. I want to remove so that it's like we're back to normal, right? So now if I go through this process again, you'll notice that pop-up won't come up, the one that says you're missing out, get the Gmail app, blah blah blah, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just sign in again. I just want to show you guys that, because I wasn't sure how to handle that, but then I realized what it was doing. So scrape me 123. So we're gonna do sign in, right? Submit the form, put the password, submit the form, and now it won't give us that pop-up. Watch. See, it went straight in. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to stop the simulator. I actually have to delete this app in order to get it back, so that there's no I could figure out how to do cookies. I didn't want to look into it because I don't know. I don't really care to get that deep into this type of stuff. It's not really for me. I have to deal with like web development, and I don't like dealing with web development. Okay. So anyway, as you can see, if it knows that you've been to that website before, then it won't ask you to do that again, which is smart UI, right? Or UX, yeah, it's smart UX. So all you really have to do is just refresh that screen, and it will skip over it, or at least that's what that's my workaround for it. So all I'm gonna do is just do WebView.reload. And then for the last piece, once we do that, I want to actually see all the HTML. So I'm gonna take this. We don't need these anymore, right? Because we already know. I want to see all the HTML that's in there, so that I can parse that HTML. So we'll do inner HTML. You call it whatever you want. And we'll do print inner HTML so that we can see it. Sound good? Okay. So I hope I hope this process is making sense so far. You already got through the hardest part. The hardest part is really just figuring out how to find the ID and then submit the form. That was like finding out how to submit was like the hardest thing for me. I don't know why. It's so simple. It's just you find the form and then do dot submit. But like nobody tells you these things. Like if you don't have great web development experience, then it's hard to find this stuff. It's hard to learn this stuff, but whatever. All right, so we're gonna log back in as me, right? So rekylely@gmail.com. Scrape me 123. We're gonna go through the process, right? Sign in again, sign in again, sign in again. Now we should get that pop-up. See, we get the pop-up. All we have to do is reload the page and it goes away. It's one workaround. And then we want to see what the HTML is. So let me clear all this stuff out because it's a lot that comes back. I'm sorry. I thought we were going to use this a lot more than we did, but we didn't use it. So my bad. Okay. So it's quite a bit of HTML. As you can see, it's still trying to come in. A lot of stuff. So what we want to do is I want to get the person that sent it to me, which is this bolded thing. And then I want to get the little message that's with it. Damn, really? It's not gonna let me drag? That's okay. We can just search based off of this. So we want to get the title. So this is pretty unique. New categorized mail. Google would probably be a hard one. Swift Evolution, since I'm subscribed to that comes in a lot. That's also a hard one to kind of do. So new categorized mail, I think, would be pretty unique. So let's go ahead and search for that in our logs. New categorized mail. Maybe it has to be capital. There it goes. Wow. Xcode does not like me doing this. Okay. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Xcode. There it goes. It's kind of working. It's waking up. Okay, so we have new categorized mail. That's one. That's two. This is like in a pretty unreadable area. Luckily, for sure, on Safari, this part is the same. So let's go ahead and log in as me, right? So rekylely@gmail.com. Password is scrape me 123. See, I get the same thing. See, it kind of thinks that I'm on, so we'll just reload the page. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use new categorized mail as something that we want to search for as being something that's unique to search for. So new, let's spell it right, new categorized mail. All right, so now we have access to that. So what we want to do is we want to kind of take a step back and we kind of want to look at what's going on. We want to be able to let's see, we want to kind of be able to see, you know, what class is this related to, where is it at, and we're gonna let our SwiftSoup actually handle that for us. So give me a second. and I want to go over that part. So this is where the SwiftSoup stuff comes in. So let's go ahead and import SwiftSoup. In case you forgot already, well, not already because it's been a long tutorial, so it's no blame on you, blame on me more likely. What we want to do is we want to import SwiftSoup, which is going to help us parse our HTML. So we go to Google, and then while that's working, I'll open up my terminal, get it ready, and we want to do SwiftSoup, all one word. Okay, and where are the Cocoa Pods? Oh, you know what? I think that they forgot to put that in their examples, how to import it. Okay, it's not in here, but it's just SwiftSoup. So all you do is change directory to your project, right? So we'll do desktop, KL learning, and then hacking. That's what I call it, hacking the web, right? And we'll do pod init. And then we'll open pod file. And then right here, all we're gonna put in is pod SwiftSoup. Save it, do pod install, and it's installing. When in doubt, spell it out. Alright, so it's installed, so now we can open back up our project if it lets us. And obviously you want to open the workspace. So now we need to create a new object that's going to work with our HTML response. So I'll just call that Gmail response. So let me just get that going. New file. And it's going to be a Swift file. And we'll call it Gmail response. Call it whatever you want. And then this is where we want to import our SwiftSoup, because this is what's going to help us parse it. Whenever it's ready. Whenever it's ready. So yeah, if you're interested in SwiftSoup, it could do a lot of things, but it can't do what we have done up to this point. I don't think it can, at least. It's just more for parsing the HTML that you already got back. So yeah, and it's still indexing. I'm sorry guys, these videos take longer because Xcode takes longer. Let's force it to quit, see what happens. Open it back up. And then we want our recent project, which is the XC workspace. We'll open that up. And hopefully it will work. There we go. So Gmail response. We're gonna import our SwiftSoup. Not really sure why they call it soup. It's kind of weird. We'll make this a structure, and this will be called Gmail response. And then we'll initialize it. We'll actually initialize it with any, but we'll call it inner HTML. And it doesn't need an external name. We'll just pass in the inner HTML, and that'll be of type any, optional any actually. And then we'll do guard let HTML string Wait, do we want it as a string? Yeah, I think so. HTML string equals inner HTML as string else return. And actually, do I want to do that? Do I want to put it into... Let me double check how I did it, because I want to do it the right way. Yes, because SwiftSoup, it does a lot of its error handling through a try catch block. We'll actually make this throw. So we'll make this throw. We'll add some type of error. We'll just say what, HTML error. Of type error, and this is actually an enum. Don't forget to put that in there. And we'll do case. Let's say bad inner HTML. So we'll actually throw that. Throw HTML error dot bad inner HTML, right? Throws. All right, let's build that, make sure that everything is correct, and I believe that it is because I know what I'm doing. Okay, so it's just saying that we never used it, and that is fine with me. Okay, so now that we actually have it, oh no. Can't load. What do you mean? It succeeded. I think it's just tripping. I'm gonna proceed as if it is working because it said that it's working, but it's not working. So let's just proceed. Okay, so with SwiftSoup, what we have to do is we have to get the document. So first thing we do is we remember that all this is going to be in a do try block, so we can just we can throw whenever we want. We'll do let doc is equal to, we have to try this, try SwiftSoup, very conceited, they use their own name, dot parse, and we're going to pass in our HTML string. So if we do that, then we have access to the actual, if this proceeds, then we have access to the actual HTML. It should work. Now what we have to do is we have to parse that HTML, and we have to figure out how we're going to parse it. So we go back to over here, Safari, and what we can do is we can get by class name. So if you notice, the most closely related class to this message is MG space JL. Don't know what the hell that means, but if we go to a different one, we'll notice that it has the exact same thing. So we just want to verify that it has the exact same thing. So if we go to inspect element in the MG-JL area, if we can open it up enough, make sure that it's highlighted. See how Google's highlighted? We'll do the drop down on that one. Make sure that Google is highlighted again. And we'll notice that MG space capital JL. And the text is that. So I don't know how Google goes about naming their stuff, but this seems to be the class that we want to work with. So, and we're gonna call that person the author. So we'll do let author, because if it was an actual human, then that would be their name. We'll do try doc dot get elements. Make sure it's plural. Elements by class. We're gonna pass our class in right there, and we want the text from whatever that is, from that class. So remember, to minimize your chance of error, you copy this. You always copy this, even if it's like 2 letters, you copy it. I don't care if it's 1 letter, you copy it. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, it definitely makes things easier to debug if you know for sure you're using the right classes. Okay, so now I want to get, let's say, Swift Evolution. I want to get Swift Evolution Digest. So that's like the message that they were sent to me. Or actually, let's get the longer message. Which one's better? You know what? I kind of want to just get the titles. So we'll just go for the title. So just checking up on your progress, right? So inspect element, and we'll go in. We'll wait until just checking up. So this is the one that's highlighted. So I'm going to drop down until I see it highlighted again. Drop in, you know. So it looks like the class for this one is MG. Oh, no. See, this is why you double click and you copy. You see that space? That would have thrown off everything. Space, MG, space, KL. You copy that. So that's going to be our title. Let title equal try. And we're going to do the same exact thing. Doc dot get elements by class. And you paste it in. See that space? That could mean everything. And we get the text from that, right? So now we have to iterate through both of these. Or actually, we'll just iterate through one of them. Let's just iterate through the titles or authors. We'll iterate through one of them, right? So for since we're gonna have to iterate through both of them, we'll do for I in 0 to title dot count. No. Get elements by ID. Hold on, let me see exactly how I did this. Okay, so these are plural, right? Because it's getting elements. Oh, it's elements. Okay, my bad. Okay, so what we call it doesn't really matter. Titles dot. I'm doing this a little bit backwards. My bad, guys. I'm sorry. So we're getting elements. We're getting multiple, and we actually want to make sure that this is an array so that we can iterate through it. So we'll do array. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry if this is confusing now, but we want to make sure that we're getting an array back because we're getting multiple elements, and we want to be able to go through those elements. So it should be titles dot count, and then we're going to loop through this. So now we should say whenever we do an index of any of our authors, it should be just one element which we can access. So we'll do let author equal authors, and we'll pass an I for whatever index we're looping through at that moment. And then for this element, then we'll get the text, get text. Oh no, not get. It'll just be text, I think. Yeah. Okay, this is what we wanted to do. I'm sorry. So let title equal titles, whatever index we're at, dot text. Okay, so now we want to print out our author. We want to print out our title, and then we want to print out just a space. Okay, so one thing about doing it this way is when you're iterating through, you have to be very, very careful. Why? What is this? I'm going to assume that it's okay for right now. This should be fine. Oh, you have to try this too. My bad. Try. And try. Because both of those throw. What I was saying is you have to be very, very careful about how you do this because you don't want to iterate out of range for something, because let's say for whatever reason there's one more author or something at the end, or there's one more title at the end, but there's no author or title, or there's like a mismatch in the count, that will cause your app to crash, and then bad stuff happens. So because your app crashed. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our view controller, and we're going to pass in this inner HTML, and we want to just make sure that all this is working. All this work has not gone to waste, right? So I don't know why it makes it all small again. I want it to be like taking up the whole screen. Okay, so we remember that we have to pass it in a do try block, because SwiftSoup automatically does error handling through do try, and we made our object a object that throws. So we want to do let Gmail response equal Gmail response, and we'll initialize that with inner HTML, and then print if we're able to initialize that, and we have to mark it with try, remember, try, and then we'll say got response or something like that, right? And then only things that should be printed out after we go through this process are the author names, which it's gonna be like Google or Swift Revolution or whatever it's gonna be, or Treehouse, Team Treehouse. It's gonna be those, and then the message, whatever the header or the title of their message is. All right, guys, welcome back. All right, so what ended up happening is, because we were in the XC workspace, it had automatically set it to iPhone 7 Plus. I don't know why. So when I have OBS running, it can't open up another simulator, or else it never finishes launching for whatever reason. So all I did was I just deleted the app, reinstalled it. I turned off OBS so that it could open the simulator again. I deleted the app, reinstalled it just so that we can log in and we can watch the entire process unfold up until this point again. So let's go ahead, get rid of all this, and let's get back into it. Okay, so once again, email Kyle Lee at gmail.com, and then password is scrape me 123, and we'll do sign in. That'll populate, submit, populate, submit. We're gonna see that one ad for the Google Gmail app, whatever. We're gonna refresh the page, and then we get the regular sign in. From there, remember that we took out the inner HTML, so now when we do sign in, it's gonna create the response, the Gmail response, and it should only print out our authors and titles. So let's see what happens. Took a little while, but it did it. Whoa, please don't stop. Please, no. No. Don't open up more stuff. Okay, so notice title, message, right? So now we're parsing all the data that we want. So now we can actually start moving into our actual other view controller. And we can pass, we have to create a new object actually. We have to create emails, right? So we'll do a new file. We have to create a new data model. And we'll call this email. Email. Foundation is fine. Struct, it's called email. And then we will initialize, oh no, we don't even have to put that in there, do we? No. Okay, so we'll just do let title, or no, we'll do author because we did author first, right? Author of type string, let title type string. So now we have an object, and we actually have all these. So we want to actually create an email. So let email equals email. The author will be author. The title will be title. And then we want to actually be able to access that from the response, right? So we'll do let emails be an array of email. And then we also want to be able to get it outside of this loop. So we'll do var emails of type email. Or actually, we should probably make it, just in case, like, you know, something happens for whatever reason. It won't, but I'm just saying, you know, good practice. Emails dot append email, and then we set self dot emails to our internal emails. So now we'll have our emails, and we can access those emails from the response. So we'll do emails. So now we want to go back to our view controller. And what we want to do is we say we got this, right? So now we're going to do perform segue. I think I called it show emails. The sender, we're going to do our Gmail response dot emails. That's what we want to send. Right? Now we have to be able to prepare our segue, or prepare for segue, and we want to be able to pass that data that we want to pass the emails data, you know, to whatever. Yeah, we want to pass it. I think you know what I'm trying to say. So we do guard let emails equal sender as any object. This is for Objective-C bridging, as an array of emails. Else return. And then what we're going to have is we're going to make sure our email VC has something to receive those emails. So we'll call it emails as well. Var emails, also of type email, array of email. Oh, actually we want to, do we want to? No, we don't need to. We'll do number of rows in section. It'll be emails dot count, right? And then we want to access the properties properly, right? So emails dot, emails, we have to specify which index. So index path dot row dot author for the big one, and then emails index path dot row dot title for the little one. Okay, so now I don't think we need any of this. Do we need the view did load? I don't think so. I think this is all we really need, honestly. Yeah, I think this is all we really need. This. And we have to make sure that we're passing it. So we go over to our view controller. So now we have our emails. We want to make sure that the destination view controller is emails VC. So we'll do comma let emails VC equal segue dot destination as emails VC else return. And then all we have to do is just make sure that we pass that data. So we'll do emails VC dot emails is equal to emails. Sounds extremely confusing, but it's okay. If you made it this far, then you probably know how to do this. This isn't a closure. Make sure we do self. Make sure that our storyboards are set up properly. Let's see. All right. Oh, let's stop the simulator because that's not helping anybody. That ain't helping nobody. All right. So if everything works, we should be with our final product, and it should be showing the emails after this. All I have to do is make sure that this is called show emails, right? That's all I really need to check. Show emails, right? And I have to make sure that this is of type emails VC, which I don't think it is. So emails VC. And then also make sure that the data source is connected. It is. I think that'll work. So now what I'll have to do is I'll have to tap the sign in button like 5 different times, even though that will already be signed into Gmail. And then once that happens, on that last time, what will happen is it should perform the segue, and then all the emails should populate. So once we see that the WebView has refreshed, because that's just the second to last step, we'll know that we're ready to go. And once again, you don't need to have this showing. And hopefully it will load a lot quicker for you as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that should refresh it, right? So now on the next one, it should be able to parse the information. It will perform the segue, and we should get our emails VC. It takes a little while for SwiftSoup to parse. I'm not really sure why it takes so long, but yeah. And notice we have all of our information. Bam, look at that. And that is how you parse data. Okay. I've been sitting at this table for an hour and a half. I've been going through technical difficulties. It's Father's Day. I'm supposed to be with my family. So I'm going to leave it right there. You know about all the stuff. Join the Slack. Reach out to Twitter. Reach out to me on Twitter and on YouTube, and all that good stuff. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. I'm always here. Also, make sure you go check out my channel update video, because I'm going to be going through some stuff, and I want to make sure that you guys know what my schedule or what my plan is moving forward. All right. Hope this was helpful. I know it was a long video, but hopefully you have all the tools that you need in order to do whatever it is that you want to do. All right. My name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from KiloLoco.com. And as always, remember, code passionately.